Hello and welcome to another Jan's Views live stream talking about poor Jay Slater. How are you all? I hope you're all well. I hope you're keeping warm and looking forward to just having a relaxed chat about the Jay Slater case. There's always so much to talk about, isn't there, guys? And tonight is no different. We have, well, it's been quite active on YouTube. Still not very much going on Twitter, which I always think is a real shame. But hey, it's up to us to keep this case alive until at last we see justice for Jay. And also, guys, how many of you have signed the petition to reopen the case? I've started it. I've clicked it, ticked it, whatever, and yeah, I hope you've all done that as well, because it's very important. So guys, I want to say hi. I want to say hi to all my mods to begin with. Hey, thanks so much for taking your job so diligently. You're so good. So we've got Claire in the house. We've got Pinky Pop. We've also got Lisa. And we've also got, who else? Stephen. Hi, Stephen. We've got Anne. And who else have we got in here? Sally. Hey, Sally. And so many different names, so many more regular names, which is always nice to see. So I'm going to put this in for our Dunks, because Dunks is joining us. So let me put that below here so that he can come in and join us. There we go. Already. So I didn't actually do a poll like I did last week in my community tab, but what I did was ask a question. I was looking for the poll, guys. I couldn't find it. I was looking everywhere for it. So I asked a question, which was, what has given you more red flags in the Jay Slater case? And I found it really interesting that the two top marks went to everything that Ayub says, or just Lucy May Law. I found that really interesting. Say hello to Aska. Aska's going to join me, and she's now probably going to jump on my desk and it'll all go up. She's a bit of a prima donna. Yeah, so I thought it was really interesting that so many of you agreed. Well, did you agree? Yeah, you did agree with me, because I think the biggest red flags are the people. The last people to have seen Jay Slater have to be the biggest red flags. So I've got somebody here who's not waving a red flag, not yet, but is here to join us. Hi, Dunks, how are you?
I'm great. I'm very good. Had a very busy week. Not particularly productive. It's just been one of those. I've actually been doing bits and pieces, and it hasn't led anywhere. I mean, I'm talking about the Jay Slater case, but that's how it goes sometimes. But still, lots to talk about. Yes. So I didn't catch what you were saying on your intro there, Jan. Have you had a very good week, a rotten week? How have you been?
Yeah, I've had quite a productive week, a few things going on, and yeah, I feel that I've been quite productive, which is always nice, isn't it? But I've also gone back to my hibernation phase, because I can't be doing with this weather. I'm like, no. I'm not going out in it. And we've been warned rain and wind. I'm quite lucky where I live. We don't really get really bad weather, so I'm quite lucky with that. But even so, I still get all the weather alerts. You know, oh, it might be a bit windy today. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake. All right then. Whatever. Dunks, I can hear a little bit of an echo from you. Do you need to fiddle with something?
I don't think so. I might have to turn the volume down a bit, possibly, but it should be the same as last week. I think it's okay. Well, my end is okay.
Okay, well, let's get on with this, okay? I want to start with something that I know that you've dealt with for quite some time, and it's something that I haven't really felt as if I was involved in. It's just something that, you know, I'm not playing tit for tat with scumbags. I'm just not doing it. So when you've spoken about certain people, I've sort of kept an eye on it just to make sure that that you're okay, but I've never felt as if I'm involved in it at all. So imagine my surprise when I see this. I don't know if this is going to be big enough for you guys, but I thought it'd be quite nice to have a troll of the week. Troll of the week. So someone's saying there's a, hang on one sec, someone's saying there's an echo from me. There really shouldn't be. That's annoying. Let me see if I can do anything about that. Let's see. There is a bit, I can hear a bit of a, and I don't know why you're getting it, guys. No. Is it livable with? Or is it really horrible? I can hear it. I can hear it. So anyway, it's not gonna spoil my troll of the week. Hang on, let me see if I can do something with your audio. Edit. Right, what if I turn you down a bit? Right, let's see. Is that any better?
Well, let me try again. Does that sound better?
I think it might do. I mean, the people are saying it sounds okay. Should we just go with it? Because it's really annoying when, you know, you're all set up to go and, right, let me just try this. And, you know, people are faffing about with the audio. So, yeah, it's just a pain in the neck, but I hope it's not going to take away from this this video. So, when I leave you to talk, Dunked, then we'll sort that out. I'll try and sort it out. Okay? So, what I want to do to begin with is just make this a little bigger, because so many people have said, oh, we can't really see what you're putting up, Jan. So, how's that? Is that big enough for you? Now, I want to, for those of you that can't read it, I want you to, I'll read it for you. There's somebody by the name of Janie and Rosie, who I actually think this is a bit of a threat. Now, I'm not one to sort of blow anything up or whatever, but what I can't understand is why this woman is threatening me. And she's put, let's see how much fun it is, Jan, if your local police come chapping at your door. Yes, me, Jan, who you called a troll in one of your pathetic videos. Remember my name, Jan. I hope you do. What's that about? And then on the same day, she decided she's going to write even more. Just seen it, losing words now, but posted it on my channel with some commentary. Truly sick and vile. That's not just being an opinion. That's a clear and ongoing campaign of online harassment, abuse and defamation. I would say, Jane, hold a mirror up to your face. Okay, because none of us are taking part in online harassment, abuse and defamation. Okay, it seems that it's sort of coming from from you, okay? Oh, and then the interesting bit. We know where Jan lives. Oh, how do you know where I live? I wonder. So it's easy to forward her vile content to her nearest police station. Please do! The cops are always looking for a laugh. Please do! She's in the UK jurisdiction, so the laws of online harassment and abuse apply to her and everyone who applauds and incites her behaviour. Complicity in law. Now, Dunks, I'm handing that back to you, honey, because really? What? I haven't even spoken about this person. Why is she including me in your sort of tit for tat? Why am I involved in this? Why is she threatening me when I have had absolutely no interactions with her? And also, more of a general question, why is she so invested in the Jay Slater case? I'm going to leave it up to you, Dunce. Off you go.
Okay, Jan, I'm going to have to compress my answers into something short and brief. Otherwise, I could take up the whole night going through this kind of thing. So, number one, troll of the week. It makes it sound like goal of the season, doesn't it? And to be honest, if I'm not in that list with at least 2 goals of the season or 2 trolls of the week, I'm going to be very disappointed. I'm going to be writing into whoever's organised this saying, you know, who are your judges? Because I should be at least in the top 3. So I don't know what the aim here is, but if it's to encourage us to be extra trolly so we can win some kind of award, I think Janie might be onto something. But anyway, troll of the week. Imagine your surprise. Yes, imagine your surprise when you suddenly find that your name is being blasted out there as some kind of, I don't know, what's the word, vile creature or what have you, when you haven't actually had any kind of conversation or exchange with this person. Well, she says it herself. It's called complicity in law. And what she's getting at here, and this is the most absurd notion you can ever imagine, is that if you voice any kind of support for anyone she thinks has the wrong opinion, then that means you are now a valid target to be reported to the police. You know what I mean? It's like saying, well, I think I might have known someone that was related to someone that fought for the Germans in the war. Oh no, now I'm complicit and off to the police station with me. It is the most ludicrous thing, and I reversed it on Janie recently because good old Janie had a little comment under one of Thomas Wilson's photographs that featured me. Oh, and guess what? Janie was fully complicit in her comment, so we can turn this around quite easily. But the whole notion is absurd. And by the way, she's actually wrong. If Janie thinks she can just send anything that you've said to a police station, it doesn't work like that. The online police forms these days are you have to submit an actual report. You have to report a crime. So unless Janie's referring to she travels all the way down from Drumchapel in Scotland, oops, did I just reveal where she lives, and goes to your local police station to hand something in, well, I guess she could. She could have the pleasure of watching them throw it away, put it in the bin, and then she walks all the way back to Drumchapel, Scotland. She could do that, but effectively she has to write out a whole report and report you for a crime. So Janie's one of these that loves to say, you're reported, you're reported, you're reported. I'm sure when she was at school, you know, she saw someone do something that was against the rules and ran straight to the teacher to say, so-and-so is reported. And guess what? At the end of the year, the teacher actually hates the kid that keeps running up to say so-and-so is reported. So, I don't know, is that a good enough answer, Jan? That's my take on what's going on here with Janie. And Rosie. Rosie, by the way, is her dog, so I wouldn't fear Rosie too much. It's a little Jack Russell, okay?
Do you know what I always think, though? The best thing is just to show everybody. You know, show everybody. And also, it's also like a paper trail. So that, you know, if the worst comes to the worst and the old bill come knocking at my door, I can say, have a look at this video. Have a look at what this woman has been saying, and I've had absolutely no interactions with her. It's insane. Now, Dunks, whereabouts in Scotland was she?
Drum Chapel.
Okay. Have they got a local police station down there? Anyway, let's move on. So, Dunks, what else did you want to talk about? Is there anything else specifically? I know you've been very busy. We've moved on from the troll of the week, and we'll now talk about something else, Dunks. What's on your mind?
I noted down actually 5 things, not necessarily to talk about, that were on my mind. Number 1, the petitions that are out there. I keep an eye on this because I do find it interesting who supports what where. And I've got to say, and I'm prepared for anyone to disagree with this, I've got to say that I think the whole petition idea for Debbie Duncan and Sarah Smith is looking really, really bleak, because the latest numbers, it's been going for over a month. Yeah, the petition has a 6-month window. Been going for well over a month now. They're on 4,600 signatures. I cannot imagine that they are going to get anywhere near their desired target. And I'm assuming the desired target is 100,000, in which case Parliament will consider talking about it. But they are so far short of any realistic total. At 10,000, and they'll probably get 10,000, they will get a reply from government. Now, I just had a look at the Nathan Osman petition, and I don't want to get into the Nathan Osman case because I know a lot of our followers don't follow that case, but that's in its 6th month now. That's nearing its end. It has 18,000 signatures. Nathan Osman's family have had a response from the government, and if you read the response, I might do a video on it this week, it is basically saying what the government have done so far in this area, what they propose to do generally, but that's it. It's just a response. So it looks to me like when the Debbie Duncan petition, Jay's Law, gets to 10,000, they're going to get a similar response. It's just going to be, this is what we've done so far, this is what we plan to do, and that's it. I'm sure, well, I'm fairly sure, Jan, the aim was to get this obviously debated in Parliament and a law passed. I can only see it as a horrendous defeat if it doesn't get anywhere near that. Now, if you look at the numbers, they're getting about 100 a day, 100 plus a day, which sounds okay. But you've got to keep in mind, Debbie Duncan has been out there with Sarah Smith doing the media rounds day after day after day. And you can't keep that up for 6 months. I mean, you can, but you're going to get the law of diminishing marginal returns. That graph is going to go down and down. We got Christmas coming up, we got the new year. People lose interest in this kind of thing. It's going to tail off. So I don't know which statistician has been talking to Debbie or to Sarah Smith, but what Luggy was calling phase 2 or phase 3, this grand idea, we're going to get even the troll of the week won't escape the dragnet of Luggy and co. Once the law's in place, you're all going to be brought into Drumchapel police station. It ain't looking good for them because their numbers are so very low. Sorry to bore you with all this, but there's one other oddity that I looked at in Hyndburn constituency, which is Debbie Duncan's constituency, Sarah Smith MP. They're still hovering around the 1,000 signatures, and that is 1%, just over 1% of the total number of voters in that constituency. I mean, if you imagine 100 voters all lined up, and 1 in 100 has said, yes, I've signed it. I don't want to be cruel here, but I just want to point out the obvious. If 99 out of 100 constituent voters in Hyndburn have said either, no, I'm not going to sign it, or even, I haven't heard of this petition and I don't care, that is very, very bad news. So I'm just going to say what's on my mind. I've got a feeling, Jan, there are a lot of people in that neighbourhood, in that locality, that they're not on board with Debbie Duncan. That's what it seems to me. If you look at the Nathan Osman petition in that area of Wales where the Osman family are for, the numbers are much, much higher. There's something off with the area around Oswald Twistle, and I noticed we got someone in the comments that's from there. There's something off with that area of Oswald Twistle in that it seems to be a lot of people are either silent or they just ain't on board with this. And you would have thought it would be the other way around. It's very strange. Sorry, Jan, back to you.
No, that's fine. I mean, I'm quite happy for you to talk more if my mic's playing up anyway. You've got a really good point there about the area of Oswald Twistle and that sort of part of England. And I think the parliamentarian, if that's what her name is not really, or appears to be not very up on the type of people that she has in her constituency, in as much as we know that, you know, there's a certain amount of people within a community that are likely to go and vote. That's the elderly people, that's perhaps people that have had health issues, blah de blah. So for her, in my opinion, for her to think that by trying to attract all these people in these areas, to me shows that she doesn't really know the type of people that she's hoping are going to put a tick to that vote. And I don't want to slag off areas, okay? I'm a southerner.
Right.
I know about the north-south divide and all that, so I'm not going to slag them off. My mother was actually a northerner. She came from Doncaster. But from what I've seen from that type of area and the culture of that type of area, I'm not sure that they're going to put their, you know, their name beside a young thug. That's the only way I can sort of explain it. They will have been aware of what happened to Tom Hilton, and even if they're not initially aware of it, all they need to do is just put it in Google, put in Jay Slater in Google and see what comes up. So I think she's barking up the wrong tree, personally. I don't think she's going to get the support she wants from her area. So you saying that, Duncan, I think is a very valid point. And yeah, we can only wait and see. Having said that, looking at what Wax did a brilliant video today, I too was sort of standing back from the Nathan, what's his surname? Nathan Osman case. Because there's only so much you can sort of take, and I like to put everything into the Jay Slater case at the moment. Now, with the Nathan Osman case, you've only got to look at those poor, grieving parents and his brother and know that that is integrity. That is, there's nothing, they're not hiding anything. Maybe their son went over and, you know, and I understand he's got kids. I don't know his marital status or anything. But that's regardless. These people are not hiding anything. So I can fully understand why people are putting their name on that petition. And I'm one of them. I've done that. So over to you again, Dunks.
Yeah, exactly. Without getting into the Nathan Osman case, just to add to the difference between the two petitions here, I actually read through the preamble to the petition for the Osman family. Listen to this: the difference between Debbie's petition and the Osman family petition. The Osmans are campaigning for, number one, consistent communication for families. And remember, the two cases are parallel here. We have a mysterious death in Spain with the Guardia Civil in charge of the investigation. So, you know, these two cases in many areas are very similar. Osman family, number one, they want consistent communication for families, and I think that's referring to, you know, the Guardia Civil don't tell anyone anything. There is no liaison officer. That concept doesn't exist. So that's number one. Number two, the Osman family are looking for enhanced collaboration between British and international authorities. Now, you see, the Osman family have gone to the Welsh police. The Welsh police are investigating it. And here's the difference between what a family can do when they push and what a family, you know, misses out on if they do nothing. So, yeah, the Welsh police are doing what they can to investigate the background to this case. And number three, Osman family want to alleviate isolation for victims and families. Now, all I'm saying is, if the Duncan Slater family had echoed that, or even piggybacked on the same petition, or done something that was, oriented towards Jay, but along the same lines, I just have a feeling this would have gone bonkers crazy, and the whole country would be, raising their hands saying, we've got to come to an agreement with Spain. Let's invite Spanish police here if there's a Spanish person that dies in Mysterious. We've got to do something so that we work closer. The very fact to me that the Duncan Slater family have not gone down that route, but decided to say anyone that's speaking out against a grieving family needs to be behind bars is part of the problem here. And this is why this petition, Debbie Duncan's petition, I think is going to be an embarrassment. And I just noticed from one of the commenters, it's from Oswald Twistle, saying that the whole rug scene and the violence and all that up there is a key issue. You earlier, Jan, you just mentioned how those hardcore voters, they tend to be the older, the ones that are engaged in community spirit and all that. I have a feeling that as soon as Jay's name comes up, they first of all associate Jay, unfortunately we can say, with the rug scene, with the Tom Hilton attack, with going over to Tenerife, and they're just not going to sign it. They just don't want to be a part of it. And this is where I think Sarah Smith and Debbie Duncan have made an awful mistake. They think because, the majority are on the side of, the narrative, that they think most people are going to sign it. And I don't think most people are on board with the narrative. I think there's a lot of silent people that don't want to commit, and they don't like talking about this kind of thing, but they associate Jay with everything that wasn't in the documentary. And I think this is a big problem for Debbie, and it might, let me throw it back to you, Jan, it might be that this is why Warren isn't doing the interviews with her. I think Warren is a little bit shrewd on aspects like this, and I think Warren might be thinking, this isn't going to get us where we want to be. It's just a feeling I have. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that also. I just think this woman, has she even got a Lancashire accent? I don't know. Is she actually from that area? Is she from the areas? I really don't know. But I think there's a lot to be said for, her perhaps getting it wrong, thinking maybe she thought that there would be such a national uprising that she wouldn't need the locals. But has she forgotten that there's Google, and just put in Jay Slater Tenerife, and how far down do we have to go before we find out that he was actually, he was out on probation? Just ridiculous. But we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. And I want to say to everybody, if you can also sign the petition to get the Jay Slater case opened again. It can happen. We can do it, guys. But we need your help to do it. If we can all sort of, get our signatures out there, then we could open this case. And there's a good reason for it. I've been watching some British true crime videos today, earlier. And it's amazing how some of the worst killers have just been under the radar the whole time. And that's just on our little island. And I think it's time that we started holding the authorities and the police accountable for their mistakes. And there was so many mistakes made. And the fact that we've now got, as creators, we've now got people coming after us that I would never have met that type of person in my life. And we're now insulted, abused, threatened all the time. It's unbelievable. But things may change. You never know. So, what else then, Dunks? Is there anything earlier on, I have been going back over some old Jay Slater videos, some of the on my shorts, and it seems that people are quite interested in looking at the very beginning, starting at the very beginning. Did you see, Dunks, did you see the beach video? And if so, the beach one where they were fighting, and if so, what was your interpretation of that particular video?
I'm going to let you down here, Jan. I haven't seen it. There was something that popped up about the beach video, and I haven't watched it. I think I've told you before, on the whole, I'm just not a big fan of, unless it's crystal clear, I'm not a big fan of watching this and feeling sure that I can see what is happening. So I'm going to let you give your impressions of it and why you think it could be key. In general, if a video shows something that's already been claimed or substantiated or could be right, I'll go with it. If it's the starting point of something, like we found this video, and doesn't this video now tell you da 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 da, I'm just so hesitant. I never wanted to discount the beach video. When I first heard what was supposed to be Lucy's voice in that you said you wouldn't and all that, OJ, I just felt something was off there. It didn't, to me, I can only say it didn't sound like how I imagined Lucy would be shouting out in angst at that moment. I would have expected a few, F this, F that. I mean, it did seem, did seem like a Lancashire, Burnley accent. I can't say that the accent was off, but I didn't feel on board with it, really. And that just might be my hesitant, negative thing about blurry videos that can be, people know how to do it, doctored and messed around with so easily. But to be honest, Jan, I think you need to put out there why you think there's something to it. I'm happy to be convinced, but it's just not my thing, the whole video thing.
I know what you mean, because I think at the very beginning we were bombarded with so much. And it was like, well, is this true? Has somebody doctored this to make it sound like this, and blah blah blah. So, as somebody who takes their channel very seriously, the same as I do, the same as Wax does, the same as Mariana does, I think we're quite sort of hesitant to put that up and say, look, this is what happened. And that's what we won't do, and I won't do it. And that I think was the Irish guy, gone out of my head, O'Keefe's mistake. He did that video, came out, this is what happened, blah blah. Anyway, my thoughts on the two videos I've seen. Now, there's one where it appears to be some sort of harbour, and there's a group of people running up the harbour. And then, am I right in saying that's when we hear a female voice saying, no, JJ, what did they say? You said you weren't going to hurt him. You said you weren't going to stab him. Now, when you hear that, you think, is that real, or has somebody put it over the top? So, yeah, so with that one, I've never forgotten it, because it was a very haunting clip. Now, the second one, where they're on the beach, which I should actually get up for you, where they're on the beach and it looks as if there's an altercation on the beach with a group of males. They all look males. The problem is, Duncan, it's so blurry and it's at night time. It's very difficult to be able to differentiate between who could be who. Now, the one person that the person who put it first online said could have been Jay, I didn't think was Jay, because Jay was very slim built, wasn't he? Whereas I felt that the guy that he said, oh look, that could be Jay, he seemed bigger. So I don't know. My thoughts are they're both possible scenarios. That's how I feel. But I won't say categorically that they are what actually happened.
Yeah, and you've got to take into account that probably every night, every other night in that area on one of those beaches, there's something like that happening all the time. I think Ayub himself said that, people go down on the beach, they have their watch stolen, they get robbed. I do think it happens all the time. We've already seen so many of that Lancashire lad lot look the same kind of appearance, same kind of movement, same kind of haircut. Add to that the nighttime grainy video. I just think it is very, very easy to convince yourself that what you're looking at is what you think you want to see, kind of thing. You tell yourself, yeah, that could be Jay, but I don't know. I always hand that over to other people. I'm better at looking at what someone has said and thinking this doesn't seem right, but with the video, it never seems really right to me. I just wish that we had some, I'm going to say that, make the same point again, but it's important. I just wish we had some other corroboration. It works well when someone says, I know that's a grainy video, but I swear I was there. I remember seeing that. Or even better, I remember seeing that guy in Papagayos. He got kicked out. And then you put the jigsaw puzzle together and you think, now the video is making sense. But on its own, I just feel kind of uncomfortable with it. But there was the video we're talking about when maybe I'm confused. There's a video where a group of people are running down to a boat, a yacht that's tied up. And then I heard someone say that was just speeded up, that it's not people actually running down in great haste to do anything in the middle of the night. They were just actually walking down there. Again, that's just another element of doubt. It's like, when you see something, are you sure what you're seeing is what was filmed at the time? We might never know. But what I don't understand, Jan, is what was reposted? Was it just someone saying, have we all forgotten about this video, or is it new or from a new angle or something?
No, it's just that I've been going back over
okay.
some of my old videos, and I go through each of them and then I cut out a section on it. And that was the bit that I cut out because I thought it was really interesting. But I want to ask the people in the chat. Let's include the chat. Now, I've got this feeling that there are in fact 3 videos. There's the one of 3 people running along by the boat, by the marina or whatever. Then there's the one, is that the same one where we hear a female saying, no Jay, I thought you weren't going to hurt him. Is that the same one? And if it's not, so that means there's 2 down by the boats. Because there's the one where they're running, yeah, and then they get onto a boat. Are they seen getting onto the boat? And then there's a 3rd one that I put up as a short where they're actually on the beach. And somebody says, I don't know who it was, but somebody says something about they see one of them kicking something under a bench or something. So in my calculations, and I'm terrible at maths, in my calculations, that means that there's possibly 3 videos going around. So let me have a look and see what they're saying in chat. Right, so Simon has said that he finds it really difficult to watch, an extremely difficult thing to listen to, as much as I find its authenticity difficult to believe. It just came from out of nowhere. Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the one where they're actually on the beach, Simon? And then we've got, let's see, yes, the club was closed and moved following undisclosed incident. I think we're talking about something else. Just want to find out about this beach footage. Okay, let's see here. Kathleen, no, some sitting on them further back. Then bigger guy moves forward and a fight. Is that the one on the beach, on the actual beach? I thought, looking at the stature of the people on there, I thought that one of them looked like Brandon, because he's bigger, isn't he, than the other boys? Okay. So Sally says the audio is more convincing than the video, in my opinion. I was more swayed by there being something in it due to the hysteria around trying to debunk it. Yes, that's always a good sign, isn't it? When we say something, they're all like, you're this, you're that, I'm going to put a picture up of your kids. Do you know what I mean? It's like, grow up, people, just grow up. Right, okay, so someone called Red Saucer said, I remember watching it on the American Guy's channel. The fight led into the sea. Yes. Now, I think it may have been Joseph Morris that put it up first, Duncan. The one on the beach. The fight on the beach. So, yeah, I watched that. Did you ever used to watch him, Dunks? Yeah, I did as well. Yeah. Okay, so somebody else has put... Red Saucer says there was a boat heading to the shore too, not the harbour. Interesting. And then one more, and then I'll pass over to you, Duncan. Anne says, yes, I remember a few beach videos where one person was in the water and a light in the distance that looked like a searchlight from a boat. Okay, thanks, people. So... someone, I think, on my YouTube said to me, it seems that the whole boat idea, the whole boat theory, whether it is the Maruba, whether it was that there was a punch up on the beach, that seemed to be put aside very early on. And I'm not so sure it should be. I think that needs to be looked at some more, in my opinion. So I'm going to pass it back to you, Dunks.
Yeah, so there are two distinct videos I remember, and the one that I call the harbour scene, I think it's Los Gigantes Marina, and there's a lot of boats lined up there, and these guys, I think, get out of a car, they run down very quickly, get on board a boat. That, to me, that was the least convincing proof of anything, because I think it was a lot of people saying, oh, they could be in their little boxes, carrying organs, and they're off to get them in the fridge or what have you. I mean, anything's possible, but there wasn't much to go on with that. And you got to think at that time of the morning, it's the end of the night for the partygoers, but it's beginning of day for those that are going out for a full day excursion at sea. That one really could have been anything. I think that was Joseph Morris that showed us that. So that was a maybe for me. What was interesting about the beach video, I think Mama D followed up on this, because she was the one that identified the exact beach, and I might be wrong on this, but I think it was the beach that was very close to where most of us believe Lucy was staying, or she had registered to stay, the Pension Playa. I'm not 100% sure that if you've got a side street room there, you can see what's happening on the beach, but it was a fascinating coincidence that if you were staying there in the Pension Playa, it's just one street back from that section of beach. That would be a logical place for everyone to meet if you were going to, settle scores or settle up accounts in Lucy's room at the Pension Playa. So the location of that beach video made sense. When you mentioned the boat coming in, I remember that there's a big, what looks like big, beaming light from a boat coming into the shore. Yeah, you got to answer who the hell's going to be in the middle of the night coming in. There's a fight on the beach. Who's going to be coming ashore for whatever reason there. But annoyingly, we don't. The video cuts off. We don't see anything after that. And you would have thought if someone were filming this that they would, they would film a lot more. We would see a lot more. One other thing that was intriguing, then I'll throw it back to you, was that it was curious how I think Chris Tenerife tried to debunk that whole beach video immediately by saying, well, the CCTV footage there wouldn't have captured it, or it's obviously fake, or I don't know what he was saying because I'm not a technical guy. But it was just odd how a searcher again would immediately jump in to say this can't be true, whereas I think most neutral observers would say, well, let's hear both sides. Let's hear from those that know about this and say this looks convincing, and let's hear from those that say it's not real. Our new technology expert on the matter, Debbie Duncan, of course, has affirmed that it can only be AI or a total fake, which again tells me if she's saying that, there's a good chance there's something to it. Some of these people don't know when to shut up or when to say, I don't know. This is another bit of a tangent here, Jen. This is another baffling thing about this case. We don't hear the stock answer, which is when people are telling the truth. Normally, when someone's telling the truth, they do a lot of, I don't know, I can't be sure. And when we get the likes of Debbie Duncan and Chris Tenerife saying, oh no, it's a fact, or yeah, that's obviously fake, a normal person says, why are you insisting on that? It's methinks thou doth protest too much. You're being a little bit too strong on your debunking here. That's what I remember that for. That, yeah, odd that the boat's coming in at that time. Could be anyone arguing on the beach. But, yeah, Chris Tenerife, he says, no, that's all fake. That can't be real. I'm like, oh, okay, so good chance it could be real. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think Lindsay makes a very good point here, saying that she thinks the packages were rugs from Masca. Yeah, I mean, I believe that that's more believable than the whole Masca story. And I've been saying it, I thought it almost from the very beginning, because as we've said and as it's been proved, there is no definite sighting of Jay in Masca. And I'm going to say something that I remembered that I haven't heard of recently, and that is the 3 cars. Has anyone else heard of the 3 cars going up? Because in one of my videos I found a bit where I know Wax was talking about it, where there were actually 3 cars going up to the to Masca, and I remember at that time thinking, well, if that is what happened, then I actually think that maybe that's how they transported Jay. And that's how I'll put it. I'm not saying that he had a ride, okay? He was transported up there, and then I believed if he did go there, then he was then transported back down there. But I'm more likely to go along with the beach theory. I'm more likely. Can I state categorically that that is the case? No, it's my opinion. And after looking at this case for over a year, then I think I can come to some sort of, I'm not stupid, and I can work out what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. So is that all about the beach? Was there anything? Let me see. Just let's go a bit by the chat, because they make the time to come along and write in here. So I think, we should really be paying a bit of attention to these lovely people as well. So Courtster says, I think Brandon is JV. Oh, all his Facebook are TV characters. Wow, that's interesting, Courtster. Very interesting. Oh, okay, so Laurie Green says, I think the beach one was staged. Which one? Which one of the 3? Because I think there are 3. And DJ says, I believe they were still 2 mystery men when video first came out. Not sure which one you mean there. And then the last one before handing over to you, Dunks. Awful Vids has an interesting post where someone in white shorts is being lifted and carried away. Yes, I remember seeing that. I think Mama D went over that, where there's someone being carried across the beach. Okay, let's go over to you, Duncan.
All right, I'm gonna throw something out there which will seem a bit off topic here, and that is Ayub. Now, I'm going to put this as nicely as I can. If Ayub is involved, and Rocky, but mainly Ayub, if Ayub is involved in any way with what happened to Jay Slater that night. If I were some kind of master planner of all this, the last thing I would ever do, if it were part of a plan, is to include Ayub with anything involving getting anyone or anything on or off a boat, and the boat going off somewhere. To me, Ayub is a barking lad that probably couldn't stand up straight on a boat in a harbour. You know what I mean? I think it's always made sense to me that Ayub's sole job was to get this boy from Papagayos up to Masca. That's the way I've always seen it. All you have to do is get him in your car, whichever way it takes, preferably not pummeling the shit out of him in front of a CCTV, but you've got to get him in your car, you get him to Masca, and then we take care of it, whatever, the plan is. I always thought that was Ayub's sole job. And so there's a part of me that when people say, and the plan could have gone wrong. I mean, I admit that. Ayub and Rocky could have been on the beach, I'll get my boy quack quack. But just the idea of Ayub and Rocky trying to sort out a punishment stabbing or something. We're going to take you on the boat and, take you to another island and hold you hostage. All of that kind of stuff doesn't fit the person we now know as Ayub. Ayub, to me, is that middleman who he has his connections, and to me, he probably can, sell a watch to someone he knows. He probably can deliver someone into the hands of someone else and shut up about it. There is something about Ayub that tells me he can do this kind of thing. But as soon as you include a boat in it, I just can't imagine someone saying, and then Ayub gets him on a boat, and, Captain Ahab or Captain Ayub takes him out over to the next island. It ain't going to happen, Ayub's, I zoomed it up to Masca, I can believe, kind of. But Ayub's, Luggy style, I got him to Morocco in 12 hours. No, Ayub, it's not you. So just my take, Jan. If Ayub's involved, there ain't a boat involved. That's my bottom line.
I'm with you there, Dunks. I just cannot imagine Ayub on a boat. No way. So Vid saying here that perhaps is Quackers the bill collector. That's what I think. And I think we have to realise there's a tier thing, okay? Man on the ground, which is a coin that you've often used, Dunks, in my opinion, is Ayub. Okay? Here's a man on the ground, along with Lucy and Brandon. I'm not sure where Brad fits in here. Because, unless he's just one of their little, their little ants running around. And so you've got Brad and Jay, who are the little ants running around. For some reason, Jay has really, really upset the apple cart. And although the next one up from Jay, being Lucy and Ayub, have said, listen, you better hand back what they want, otherwise we don't know what's going to happen. They only have so much power. Then we've got the next tier up here, and that is, dare I say, Luggy, and then the Penningtons. Now, all these little ants down here, they're the ones, really, especially Ayub, that should be bright enough to ward off all the questions. But, unlucky for the higher people, they have to keep stepping in, because he keeps cocking up. Because every time he goes on to a blooming, a live or whatever, and he shows himself for who he is, which is nothing more than I'm not even going to throw out names, but I think we can all work out the likes of Ayub. He lets the side down. So then we get Mr. Businessman, Mr. Pennington, come up when he's not drunk, saying, yes, well, look at me, I found this I went out and I looked for him and I did. It's all a load of BS. We know it's a load of BS. And that's why I do laugh at it sometimes. I'm not laughing at the fact that poor Jay, a 19-year-old kid, lost his life. People need to realise that. I'm laughing at the stupidity of these men that think that we're going to take their BS. I saw, oh yeah, someone, stop, you make me laugh. Ayub in a speedboat. Oh no. Anyway, Dunks, back to you, hun.
Yeah, Admiral of the Fleet, Admiral Ayub, from that well-known maritime bastion barking. I just can't see it. Talking about your pyramid there, I'm going to say something that might not be too popular here. I've got a feeling Brad actually doesn't know a whole lot that was going on at the time. I go back to Lucy's Jay and Brad were acting like idiots. I think the bottom of the pyramid, as far as, you know, knowing what the hell's going on and responsibility, is Jay and Brad. And it could well be that Brad was just used as a money mule. You know, his bank account was very useful, and you know, we'll take you to the place, Brad, where the beer is cheap, and you know, you'll have a great holiday. It could well be that Brad is at that very, very low level, and Rachel's whole, you know, job was to distance Brad from any of this shite. So I know a lot of people say Brad knows everything, Rach knows everything. Maybe, but that's not the impression that Brad gives, to be honest. One step up from that, yeah, I think Ayub is one of those, you can give him a job that you know he can do, and in normal circumstances, he will get it done. But when things start going a bit crazy, Ayub is not the best person to speak and explain it all. And I think that is partly why the likes of Luggy and Chris, I mean, you know, Chris is a bad guy to get off the bench to start talking, but, you know, at least he deflects from what Ayub is saying. But I think that's one reason why Luggy and Chris started talking, was to get their whole panoply of characters came up. There was this Nero character. There've been all kinds of people that popped up. And I think part of the aim there was to, you know, gently suggest to Ayub and Rocky that they shouldn't keep talking about this because they're not doing that middleman job very well. You know, they're not the marketing department. They're not really the top salesman in this. They need to stop talking about the enterprise because they're way out of their lane. Just my take. What you said about Luggy and Chris is very interesting. I'm just going to put it out there. My theory with Chris is that he knows eventually, if a real investigation traces the money from the point of sale of the narco substance to where it ends up in which account, under which name, in which country, either, I'm just going to say allegedly, this is my feeling, my opinion, either Chris's name or his father's name or his fiance's name pops up somewhere. And it might not be a strong connection, but it might be enough for people to say, aha, so now let's look into all of these enterprises that these people are running. Because, you know, it's no big surprise that the real estates, the gyms, the nightclubs, they are the places where so much gets laundered. And it could even be that Chris and his family's fear is that something might come back to haunt them, even though they might not have done anything wrong. I mean, justice is a weird thing. You can be roped into something, be totally innocent, and lo and behold, you know, you're seen as part of a group. It could be anything like that. But there must be a reason why Chris and Luggy are searchers on the one hand, but absolutely paranoid that someone might get onto something that proves it's not an accident. This is what doesn't make sense with any of us. And I think they overplayed their hand. On day one, you know, if they could rewrite this story, surely Luggy and Chris would have gone back and said, when we come to explain what we did, all we say is that could have been an accident, there could have been foul play, we decided whether it's an accident or foul play, we're going to find the guy, and then after that, you know, we'll give our opinions, but we're not going to get involved in a slanging match. If they could rewrite the whole story, they would surely do that. But now they've both gone down this path of it must be an accident. The logical question is, why are you insisting on that unless you're involved? And I think none of us on our side can get past that. And you know, why is it? Why are you so invested that this must be an accident when you're just a searcher? You must be involved in some other way. And that's the problem. If there's probably someone above, Ivor and Chris, there's someone, of course, that's financing this whole operation. And, it may be that the very top of the pyramid is pretty safe anyway. They're probably living in the United Arab Emirates, and it's a country where you really can't be extradited. If there is some big Kinahan guy or whoever, Lee Tabera, whoever, then they're probably safe. But I think the panic level of the pyramid are the ones that financially have an enormous amount to lose. If it's your livelihood, we go back to, Luggy. What's he been doing for the last 17 years? I get it. He made a load of money working on the oil rigs. But enough money to, have 4 boats and live the life of luxury? I doubt it. There is some other income there from a source that Luggy doesn't want exposed. It's the only logical conclusion I can come to, allegedly. And one last point, Jan, is the lack of explanation. I'm sure if anyone came to you and said, look, I'm just a little bit confused, I've seen from your social media profiles and that you were teaching, you did this, there's a 17-year gap. I'm sure you'd have no problem saying, yeah, I ran a little shop. Here's a photo of it. I did that for a few years and then I, went to Thailand and then I came back. There's not a great obstacle to explaining more or less what you've done in the last 17 years. But to me, it's a little bit alarming when you say, so what did you do? And the answer is, oh, well, I don't have to tell you that. That's none of your business, So, okay. But when someone says that, you still think, so I wonder what you did. What's your problem,
Exactly, and I think that's what's kept this case going.
Yeah.
For us especially, is these, the side characters. But we must never forget what our objective is, and that is to get justice for Jay. But all the side characters, they're like evil trolls who spit vermin at you. What is that about? Come on. And yeah, there has to be something. There has to be something there. So if there's anything else, was there anything else you wanted to talk about? Or shall we call it a night? We've been going for an hour. Let me just look at the chat. Yeah, it's so nice to see. Oh, I don't know that case there. He never made that money from off. Yeah. It has to be financially involved. I think it's about finances, and that's why they're just being so spiteful. Doesn't seem strong enough a word. It's almost criminal, and in some cases it is criminal. And we've gone sort of in the round, done a full circle really, coming back to the trolls. And it just seems insane. I never ever thought that we would be trolled in this way just because we're talking about a young lad that, lost his life in Tenerife. It just seems insane. But here we are. We're still fighting. We're not scared of. I'm not scared of. But I'm also, like they say in the underworld, you're a snitch. You can't do that because you'd be a snitch. I'll be quite happily be a snitch, thank you. Yeah, I don't mind because I don't move in those circles anyway, and my rules and morals are slightly different to yours. So, Doug, do you want to say your good night? And thanks so much for coming up. And anyway, you say goodbye to everybody and your finishing statement.
All right. Well, as always, thanks very much to everyone that had plenty of comments. I love to look through them the next day, actually. I'm getting a little bit better at talking, listening, and scanning the comments, but I love to read them in detail the next day. So everyone that has commented, I will get to read it. Thanks to the mods. Thanks to you, Jan. I thought Wax's video, when he in such detailed fashion went through what Lucy said, I've got a lot to piggyback on that because I'm just aghast, absolutely aghast that Coroner Adderley can hear Lucy, apparently in a low voice, saying yes, to the question of did you hear anything about the watch, and then later you know, a few minutes later say no, she didn't know anything about the watch. I'm just aghast that a coroner can hear that and ignore it. And it's the same damn coroner that told Josh Forshaw to go away and come back and tell everyone what, you know, 10 quid really means. I just can't... I just can't fathom this. It's almost like a theatre piece where you come out at the end of it and you think, well, thank God we don't live in that society. And we do. It's very, very depressing in many aspects of it. Later this week, I'll go through the Freedom of Information Act response that... you know, my colleague Dr. David got, and again, you'll be just astounded at how officialdom really do not care to let the public know what is going on. So yeah, later this week, hold on for a depressing moment, but the whole thing, Jan, is just fascinating. Sorry, one last thing. One of the accident group said in a comment that it's obvious that I'm running out of content. They've been saying that, you know, since I started, you know, 14 months ago or something. I find that one funny because as your final goodbye, Jan, I think you're going to echo what I have to say. It's far from it. I have more stuff I want to talk about than I have time to do. So the guy is called Sugar Ape. He said, yeah, Dunks is running out of content. We've just got a few more weeks to last here, and then he's gone forever. Well, bad news. There are so many complex, you know, parts of this whole Jay Slater story, and the Jay Slater story touches on various aspects of all our lives, you know, that it's never going away. It's just never going away. Once the whole case, you've got to understand, Jan, at some point, you know, fingers crossed, we're going to have the Ayub Kassim trial, we're going to have the Stephen Rockus trial, we're going to have the Lucy May Law trial, we're going to have the Chris Pennington and the Peter Pennington trial, the Ivor Lovelace trial. Once all these trials have happened, then we might start running out of something to say, but not until then. So good night, everyone, and we will see you soon. Yeah, Jan, thanks again. I will let you say the ultimate good night.
Yeah, and thanks, Dunks, for taking the time to come and join me. I know you're a bit busy next week, so that's fine. I might come along and just do one on my own, or I may just take a week off. We'll see what happens in the week, but thanks anyway. And also a huge thank you to all my my mods and also the chatters. Without you guys, well, I don't think we'd ever be stuck for words, would we, Dunks? There's always so much to say. But it is wonderful that we can talk with you. That's what I really wanted from these live streams. So, yeah, thank you so much for interacting with us, and I hope, you know, you're happy with the way that we try and interact back with you. So, you take care of yourselves out there, because trust me, it's a rotten old world. So, until the next one, bye-bye for now.
It's very nearly Christmas, magic's drawing near. Our smiles will reach 1,000,000 hearts, each and every